George Rodriguez is here from San Antonio, Texas. He has flown in from San Antonio today because he wants to issue some warnings to the people of Virginia and to their congressman. He's a retired small business owner, a communications person. He not only knows what out-of-control immigration can do, really out-of-control immigration can do to a state like Texas, but he also served in the Justice Department under the Reagan administration and helped handle that 1986 amnesty. He's been here before. George Rodriguez, representing Tea Party Patriots from San Antonio, Texas. Thank you very much.
Good evening, folks. It's great to be in the home state of Jefferson, Madison, and Washington. Let me begin by telling you that I am an American first, okay? Look at me. My last name may be Rodriguez, my background may be Hispanic, whatever that is, but I am an American first and foremost. And let me tell you that for 5 generations, my friends, for 5 generations, my family has been fighting illegal immigration in South Texas. Let me tell you about it, because what has happened there is happening in every community, in every major city, and apparently seems to be okay with some folks. First of all, the cost to the taxpayer. Corey, and I forgot your last name, Corey. Stewart, Corey Stewart over here from Williams County. Let me tell you, in Bexar County in San Antonio, we pay tons and tons and billions of dollars for folks that go into the emergency room and disappear, okay? We pay tons and billions of dollars in insurance because there are people driving around without insurance. One of the frustrating things to me is quite often, and I'm glad some of the media is here, I don't know where they disappeared to, CBS for a little while, was here a few moments ago. But they always look for somebody who has just crossed the river, un pobre mojado, as we would say, who is down on their luck and everything, and they are supposed to portray all Mexican Americans and all Hispanics. Well, I got news for you. There are many of us, there are more of us that are conservative and fed up with the job competition that has been going on for decades in South Texas and don't want amnesty. That is a harsh reality, and that is something that the liberals and the media will refuse to accept. It's all about economics in my book. My father, let me tell you a story. My father organized a union of printers in Laredo, Texas, because printers from Nuevo Laredo were being hired at half the wages and causing the job competition. And until he organized a union to close the shop and keep Mexican Americans working, there was that constant undermining of the economy. Why do you think that the poorest counties in the nation are located along the border? You know, it's not in Mississippi or in Alabama or West Virginia anymore. It's along the border. Why? Because of the job competition, because of the economics. Shame on the unions, on the AFL-CIO and others, for betraying the American worker. That's what they should be ashamed of. They walk around right now talking about Cesar Chavez. Well, I got news for you. Cesar Chavez was against the illegal aliens. Oh, but that's not something that you'll hear now. You've got LULAC running around supporting the illegal aliens. Well, I got news for you. When LULAC was organized in 1929, it states in its preamble, America first. Its hymn was America the Beautiful. Its approach was English only, it says in the preamble. English only. Look where they are now. And why? Because they've been bought off. Because people like Raul Izaguirre from National Council of La Raza at one time went off and got bought off by the big money interests that Ron was talking about. It's the same situation, you know. They are race baiters for hire. There's no two ways around it. Unless we have an enforcement of the laws, folks, unless we secure the border first, we should not even begin to get into the weeds to talk about anything else. It is first, stop the flow. Then after that, we'll worry about the rest. I remember 1986, well, 1985, when we were negotiating and working on the Immigration Reform Act, folks. The Chamber of Commerce was adamant we could not have employer sanctions. Adamant, angry, frustrated. And now, here we go again. Only that instead of 3 million that they said at that point, now who knows how many. And they still want the revolving door because they want a temporary worker program. My friends, it is time that the media listen to folks like myself, Mexican Americans that have lived it and seen it, who are American first, who want to see our nation assimilated, acculturated, become one. We don't have anything in common except for our language, except for our culture, except for our national history. And if that begins to become balkanized, as it is, then we're going down the road of destruction, folks. It's no two ways around it. We're on our way to destruction. I just want to say, my friends, that whenever they talk about the Hispanic community, I am not sure what that means, okay? Because there are Cubans, Puerto Ricans, Mexican Americans, Central Americans, Argentines, Bolivians, et cetera, They aren't the same. That's like saying that somebody from Poland is the same as somebody from Germany or somebody from Belarus. Just because they're white? Maybe, to some folks. But that's not the way the Hispanic community is. And they have done that as a disservice. And if anything, those are the racist liberals that should be watching them, looking at themselves and calling themselves racists in the mirror. My friends, I want to thank the Tea Party and I want to thank Numbers for inviting me. I just want you to know that we are not going to back off of the greatest land in the world. My great-grandmother was a Comanche Coltec. And my grandma used to say, you know, we have to watch immigration because the Indians had bad immigration laws. Look what happened, okay? Not to say anything bad about Jamestown, all right? Okay? But my friends, it can happen. It will happen because people don't care. If they have not been raised to appreciate the land of the free and the home of the brave, they don't care. My friends, thank you very, very much. And let's stay tough. Let's stay tough.
Thanks, George. Look, all the way from San Antonio, Texas. Thank you, George. We are here on this spot for a reason. As I said at the beginning, the purpose of this was to stand in for Americans all across the country, to get some information out. We will now be distributing these speeches to our members. They will move them on beyond. But this spot is very interesting, isn't it? This is overlooking a very important congressional district, and that man's been mentioned. That is House Majority Leader Eric Cantor. And he is in a position of tremendous influence and decision about what happens with this bill, which everybody is making the point of. You think of everything that Ron Maxwell said that's at stake here. It's kind of in Eric Cantor's hands, whether there are bills that come to the floor and whether they get mixed up with the Senate. So we're looking over that land. And Eric Cantor has done a lot of good things on immigration in his career. He's got a lot of good inclinations. he's also, because of his importance in the party, he spends most of his time with rich people. And that's just the way it is in politics. It's not a knock against Eric Cantor. He has to do that as a leader in his party. But that means he's mainly hearing from the people who benefit from a loose labor market. And that's really kind of the way they're looking at it. They just want to make sure that when they put a for hire sign up, that there are 50 people show up for every job. I'm an employer. I employ 25 people. When I put out an ad, I love it when 50 people ask for that job. But it's not so good for the workers. Now we've got to make sure that Eric Cantor pays attention to the wage earners and the middle class taxpayers. That's why we're here, looking over his district as we talk tonight. But we are also standing in the district of who? Congressman Bobby Scott. And he's a Democrat. And sometimes, so much of this is in the hands of the Republicans, but we cannot let the Democrats off on this. We got to make sure that the Democrats are aware of that they are violating probably the most important part of their values, which is supposed to be stand up for the American worker. So that's why we're here. The good news is we don't just have to go to Texas to get somebody to give us some wisdom, although lots of wisdom from Texas. We have the leader of the most effective, toughest immigration enforcement locally in the nation, right here in Virginia. Corey Stewart, chairman of the board of Prince William County. So glad you came in. And his wife is waiting on him to pack his suitcase because they got to leave on vacation tomorrow. Thanks for sticking with us.
Thanks. Thank you for saving my domestic tranquility, I guess. Well, good evening, everyone. It's great to be back down here in Virginia, in Richmond, actually. And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what we did in 2007 and some of an update to that. 2007, Prince William County had a triple murder that was committed by an illegal alien. And that murder led to a lot of public outcry. And even my own office, people asked me, what are you going to do about illegal immigration? And we said, there's nothing we can do. We're local officials. But that wasn't true, as we found out. There was something we could do. And we reached out and we got the support of Roy and NumbersUSA. And I want to thank you for your support in that effort. And also the great hero for immigration enforcement, and that's the Congressman. And I just want to thank you very much, Congressman King. They told us that it couldn't be done. There was nothing we could do about illegal immigration on a local level. Prince William County, population 425,000 residents. It's the home of Manassas National Battlefield, as some of you might know. It is not exactly a Republican stronghold. It's the first majority-minority county in Northern Virginia. It voted for 60% for Barack Obama, unfortunately, both in 2008 and in 2012. People thought it could never happen there, that we'd be able to pass an immigration enforcement effort. But we did. We passed what is considered to be the nation's toughest crackdown on illegal immigration anywhere in the United States on the local level. In 2007, we passed it, and it was simply this. That when an officer pulls over somebody for any crime, it doesn't matter what they look like, what they sound like, what language they speak, the officer is going to inquire into their immigration status. And if they are turned out to be illegal, that information is given over to the magistrate, and of course that person will be held in jail pending trial. To date, our policy has been put into place, and so far under that policy, and these are brand new numbers, we have handed over to the federal government more than 6,300 criminal illegal aliens. Now some would say, well, big deal. What was the effect? Well, this has been the effect. To date, the violent crime rate in Prince William County has dropped over 50%. Now this is a big county. Even minor changes in the crime rate are significant. But it happened in a large county in Northern Virginia. And then with that drop of over 50% now in Prince William County, at the same time that we are cracking down on illegal immigration, do you know what the Washington Post calls that? A coincidence. We know the truth. we know the truth. And that is that enforcement works. Now, I just got a message for Congress, and I know that Steve King knows this Congressman King knows this better than anybody else, and that is this, that it's not just a matter of border security. If you have adequate internal immigration enforcement, it will also, it's necessary. Do you know that in the United States, there are only 10,000 immigration and customs enforcement officials? They do everything from immigration enforcement to checking fruit at the border. So you can't possibly rely upon the federal government alone for internal security of immigration laws. You need the support of state and local law enforcement officials, of whom there are more than 700,000. And that is what we've been able to do through the Immigration and Naturalization Act of 1996, which gave us the power as local officials, should we choose to use it, to enforce federal immigration law. We have been able to do this on our own, and that's what we need, not just in Prince William County, not just in all over Virginia, but across the United States. Now let me end with this final thing. I know there are officials of my own party in my state here in Virginia, Republicans that run away like crying babies because they're fearful of touching the immigration issue. That's cowardice. And I don't care who you are, whether you're running for governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, or the House of Delegates or the state Senate. You must be able to attack this issue dead on. And for those who think it's bad politics, let me just say this. In 2007, Republicans were wiped out in Northern Virginia. Right at the top of this controversy on illegal immigration. To the south of us in Stafford County, the Democrats took control. And north, well, that's Fairfax County. That's always been enemy territory for Republicans. And in Loudoun County, it went to almost exclusively a Democratic board, except in Prince William County, where we didn't lose a single seat. Now that is why, now I say this is a 60-40 Democratic county in Northern Virginia in 2008 and 2012. But we passed that legislation and we got reelected. It's good politics too. It's not unpopular. We have surveyed our citizens on this issue. What percentage of the citizens, keeping in mind that this is a county that went 60-40 for Barack Obama in 2012, keeping in mind that this is the first majority-minority county in Northern Virginia, what percentage of citizens support immigration enforcement in Prince William County? 75%. 75%. This is the best microcosm in the country to show you that this is not just good policy, it's good politics. And for Republicans to bend down and back down on an issue that is not just good policy, but is good politics is idiocy. We must stand strong on this issue because people respect you when you stand strong on an issue and you turn out to be right. Even those who opposed us on this issue at the beginning now support it. Those who said that it would lead to racial profiling were wrong. We have 500 police officers, actually almost 600 now, 600 police officers. We've turned over 6,300 criminal illegal aliens to ICE for deportation. Do you know how many cases of racial profiling we've had in Prince William County since we put this policy into place? 0. That's right, 0. It doesn't have to lead to racial profiling. It doesn't have to lead to racial discrimination. It's not about race. It's about enforcement of the law. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope I've given you some hope, at least on the local level, that something can be done. And let me just leave you with this one thing. I know it's a small crowd. You're competing with every summer barbecue and summer vacation out there, but that doesn't matter. Because what we can do as individuals, as political activists, is hold their feet to the fire. Don't let any candidate for a public position, don't let any of them, don't let them go on this issue. Get them on the record whether they support amnesty or not support amnesty, or whether they support the rule of law and enforcement and the protection of all Americans. Thanks a lot, everyone. I appreciate the time.
Corey Stewart is just a master of the local political scene, and he is such a model for people all over the country to not just take this on emotionally, but to take it on in a way that is careful management. He had a lot of hoops he had to jump through, and he made it work. And that's what we need is those kind of public servants. Leah Durant is another person who worked for the Justice Department. Let's see, Leah, what was that? Was that in the Bush administration? Yeah. And worked in the Justice Department as a trial attorney for the Justice Department, and has many achievements in the immigration field, but most recently as a founder of the Black American Leadership Alliance, which held just a wonderful March for Jobs just last month. Leah Durant, great to have you here tonight.
Well, hello everybody. I am so pleased to be here this afternoon because we have come together because we have one message. This is not the time for amnesty. Is this a time for amnesty? No. This is not the time for amnesty. Right now we have 22 million Americans that are either out of work or underemployed. Why would we be thinking about, whatever you want to call it, a pathway of legalization, when we cannot afford to provide jobs for the people who are already here? This is a wonderful opportunity for us to stand together. This is not an issue that only the right cares about, or only the left cares about, or only white people care about, or only black people care about. We are standing together. We are standing together with blacks, whites, left, right, whatever the case may be, to say, we are Americans first. We are here today to urge our political leaders, to urge Congressman Cantor, and I'm urging Congressman Goodlatte and anybody else who wants to hear what we have to say, that we do not want amnesty because we understand that this is a policy that will kill our communities completely. How many of you out there have a son or a daughter or a grandson or a granddaughter or yourself who can't find a job? Absolutely. I hear people every day who contact our office and say, I can't find a job. I don't have a job. I talked to a lady from Ohio the other day who told me my 16-year-old grandson can't find a job. These are the entry-level jobs that teach our children how to work. They teach them a work ethic. It teaches them how to get up in the morning and how to hold down a job and how to be responsible. So for us, this is a message that's based on jobs. We want jobs for our families. We want jobs for our communities. Do you all know that just the other day, the Bureau of Labor Statistics came out and they said that 41% of black teenagers cannot find a job? 45% of black men under the age of 40 don't have a job. Now that's not a good thing for anybody. So we have come together to say, listen to us. Insert this in the conversation. Americans right now, unemployment is over 7%. Over 7%. We have seen some of the worst labor participation rates that we've seen since 1979, down to 63%. Americans are being pushed out of the labor force, no matter what color you are. This is not an issue based on color. This is just economic realities of what we're experiencing right now. So I am so pleased and honored that NumbersUSA invited me to come today to speak about this. We formed the Black American Leadership Alliance because we wanted to bring people together. What an opportunity to say, when the whole country is torn apart based on Trayvon Martin and all of these other issues, that we can come together with one message to say, we are Americans first, we stand together, and we stand in opposition to amnesty. So I just wanted to say, I'm so honored to be here, and I'm so honored to be connected with people like you. I've learned something in this life from working on this issue, and that is when you find people like Congressman King and Roy Beck and Corey Stewart and I don't even want to keep naming names, Carol Stopps and Diana Reimer, and all these people that work on an issue that may not be, a popular issue to work on. When you find people that are willing to stand up for something that may not be popular, and they're willing to take political hits because of it, those are the kind of people you want to associate with. And I'm proud to associate with all of you today for being here. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. We stand against amnesty.
Hang on just a second here. Try that microphone. Leah, looking into East Richmond and this section of the population, this is an awful lot of these families, as I understand it, are descended from the slaves who were freed
Absolutely.
only after the end of the Civil War.
Yes.
So much is said about the urgency of dealing with the 11 million illegal aliens so that they can achieve their American dream. Now, my sense is, more than my sense, there are generation on generation of families here who have never had the American dream yet.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we have nowhere to go. That's one thing that it's important to remember. These are American citizens who, have for generations have built this country, and we have nowhere else to go. So I think before we have any discussions about, providing a pathway or legalization or amnesty to an additional 11 to 20 some odd million people, we have to make sure that there are jobs for our young people, jobs for low-skilled workers, jobs for high-skilled workers. This bill kills them all. So we're against this bill because we have to make sure that we provide for Americans first. We have got one of the most generous legal immigration systems in the entire world. Do you all know that the United States accepts more immigrants than all other industrialized countries combined? Yeah. So, we're not against immigrants. We're not anti-immigrant. I'm anti-amnesty, and I'm anti-illegal immigration.
And one does not have to, one can have some sympathy for this, the plight of people who have come from very poor countries, who maybe have been here a long time, gotten themselves rooted in this country. But the fact is that government is all about prioritizing, isn't it? And it's like, why would you say to this population, for example, no, you are not a priority over the millions of people who've come here illegally. You are not the priority. So this is the message we're trying to put out.
That's right.
The American unemployed, the American poor, the American middle class are the priority.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.